Before my world ended on a sun-drenched Tuesday afternoon, I believed our love was like the old oak tree in our backyard, solid, deeply rooted, and unshakable. I measured our 5 years of marriage in simple, beautiful constants. The rich aroma of coffee brewing every morning, the sound of our 4-year-old daughter, Lily's, laughter echoing through the halls, and the sight of hummingbirds, tiny, iridescent jewels, flitting around the glass feeder Sarah and I had hung on our first anniversary. It was a perfect life, a quiet masterpiece we were painting together. Or so I was foolish enough to believe. The truth, I discovered, doesn't arrive with a thunderclap. It slips in through a cracked open door, carried on the hushed, intimate tones of a phone call never meant for you to hear. I'd left my workshop early that day, the scent of cedar and oil still clinging to my shirt. I wanted to surprise them. The house was cool and quiet as I stepped inside, my work boots making no sound on the plush rug in the hallway. I expected to find Lily napping and Sarah sketching by the window, her pencil dancing across the page. Instead, I heard her voice, a low and urgent murmur drifting from our bedroom. A smile touched my lips. I crept closer, ready to pounce, to wrap my arms around her and steal a kiss. But the words I heard froze the smile on my face and the blood in my veins. "I know it's a risk, Mark, but I can't live like this anymore," she whispered. And the name, a name that wasn't mine, was a physical blow. "He's a good man, he is. So trusting. That's what makes this so difficult." A pause. I could imagine her biting her lip, a habit she had when she was nervous. "But when I think about us, about the future you've promised, the guilt just vanishes." My world tilted. The hallway seemed to stretch into an impossible length. Mark? Who the hell was Mark? A surprise? A misunderstanding? My mind, a frantic animal in a cage, clawed for any other explanation. "Soon," she breathed into the phone, her voice thick with an excitement I hadn't heard directed at me in years. "As soon as the new policy is active. The waiting period is almost over. Once it's finalized, we'll have everything we need to start over. You'll never see it coming. Policy, waiting period." The words were clinical, cold. They didn't fit into the warm, sunlit world of our home. I pressed my ear against the cool wood of the door, my heart hammering against my ribs like a trapped bird. The hummingbirds outside zipped past the window, their frantic energy a perfect mirror of the chaos erupting inside me. "I have to go." "I think he just got home," she said, her tone shifting instantly. "I love you." The click of the call ending was the loudest sound I had ever heard. A moment later, she emerged, her face lighting up with a brilliant, practiced smile as she saw me. "Jake, you're home early, sweetheart." She moved to hug me, to press her face into the curve of my neck. Her familiar scent of lavender and vanilla filled my lungs, but for the first time, it felt like a poison. I wanted to recoil, to scream, to hold her by the shoulders and demand the truth. But I looked past her, down the hall where Lily's bedroom door was slightly ajar, a sliver of a pink unicorn decal visible, and I knew I couldn't. Not yet. So I hugged her back, my arms feeling like foreign objects, my touch a lie. "Yeah," I said, my voice hoarse, "wanted to surprise you." As she led me into the kitchen, her hand in mine, chattering about her day, I wasn't her husband anymore. I was a spectator watching a horror film from the front row, and the monster was holding my hand. Every object in our home, the photos on the fridge, the clay handprint Lily made us, the half-finished painting by Sarah on the easel, all of it was part of an elaborate stage set. And I had just discovered the play was a tragedy, and I was the unsuspecting victim. The next 2 weeks were an exercise in cold, calculated agony. I became the perfect husband. I brought her flowers. I cooked her favorite meals. I listened to her stories with a smile plastered on my face. All the while, I was a detective in the ruins of my own life. At night, I would wait until her breathing deepened into sleep, then slip out of bed. The soft glow of her phone screen became my interrogation lamp. It didn't take long to find him. Mark, a wealth manager she'd met 6 months ago at a gallery opening. Their texts were a nauseating mix of saccharine, I miss yous, and cold, hard logistics. They talked about selling the house, about moving to the coast. They talked about Lily as if she were a piece of luggage to be dealt with. But it was the emails that laid the truth bare. Tucked away in a draft folder was an application for a new life insurance policy. For me, for $2 million. Sarah was the sole beneficiary. The waiting period she mentioned was a standard 2-year contestability clause for new policies. But they had found a loophole, a way to expedite a payout under specific circumstances. The policy was set to become active next Friday. The breath I was holding escaped in a ragged gasp. This wasn't just an affair. She wasn't just planning to leave me. She was planning to erase me. The "he'll never see it coming" wasn't about a divorce. It was about my death. The realization was a block of ice forming in my gut, freezing everything inside me except for a single, burning point of clarity. I had to save myself for Lily. I contacted a lawyer my father had used for his business, a sharp, no-nonsense woman named Elena. I sat in her sterile office, the leather chair cold against my skin, and laid out the entire story, my voice low and steady, devoid of the emotion that was raging inside me. I showed her the screenshots of the texts, the printed emails, the policy application. Elena listened without interruption, her expression unreadable. When I finished, she looked at me, her eyes sharp. "This is conspiracy to commit murder, Mr. Hayes. We need more than digital evidence that she could claim you forged. We need to hear it from her. We need undeniable proof." And so we devised a plan. It was risky, terrifying, but it was the only way. The following Thursday, the day before the policy was to become active, I told Sarah I had to go on an overnight trip. A client an hour out of town needed an emergency repair on a custom-built table. It was a perfect lie, completely believable. I packed a bag, kissed Lily goodbye, a kiss that felt desperate, clinging, and gave Sarah a brief, stiff hug. The look in her eyes was a complex mixture of feigned sympathy and something else, something cold and triumphant. "Be safe," she said, her voice smooth as silk. I didn't drive to a client's house. I drove to a hotel 10 minutes away and checked in. With me was Elena's associate, a tech expert who had helped me install tiny, high-fidelity audio recorders in our living room and bedroom lamps. We sat in the sterile hotel room, a laptop open between us, listening to the silence of my empty house. For hours, Nothing happened. Then, around 8 p.m., the living room recorder crackled to life. It was Mark's voice, clear as day. He was in my house. "Is everything ready for tomorrow?" he asked. "Yes," Sarah replied, her voice calm, frighteningly calm. "The carbon monoxide detector in the garage has new batteries, dead ones. I'll ask him to take a look at my car in the morning when he gets back. Says it's making a funny noise. He'll start it up, close the garage door to hear it better. He'll just fall asleep. People will think it was a tragic accident. A tired man making a fatal mistake." I felt the bile rise in my throat. I looked at the tech expert, whose face was pale. He just nodded, his eyes wide. We had it, but it got worse. "And Lily?" Mark asked. "She'll be at my mother's," Sarah said dismissively. "She'll be sad for a while, but kids are resilient. She'll get over it. We'll have $2 million, Mark. A new life. That's what matters." That was the moment the last shred of the woman I loved died. In her place was a monster. We forwarded the live feed directly to the police department, where Elena had arranged for a detective to be on standby. Within 15 minutes, as I sat in that soulless hotel room, I watched on a silent video feed from a nanny cam I'd placed on the mantelpiece as my life was saved. Blue and red lights flashed across the windows. The sound of heavy, authoritative knocking echoed through the speakers. I saw Sarah's face collapse in confusion, then terror, as she and Mark were led out of my home in handcuffs. The aftermath was a blur of legal proceedings, police statements, and whispered conversations with family. The evidence was irrefutable. The recording, the insurance policy, the damning text messages. It was an open and shut case. Sarah and Mark were charged with conspiracy and solicitation of murder. They would be going away for a very, very long time. I was left standing in the quiet of a house that no longer felt like a home. Every corner held a ghost. Every memory was tainted. For Lily's sake, I knew we couldn't stay. A month later, I stood on the porch of that house for the last time. The moving truck was already gone, filled with the pieces of our life that I had chosen to keep. Lily was in the car with my parents, ready to start a new chapter with me in a small town by the sea, closer to them. The last thing left was the hummingbird feeder. It hung there, empty, a relic of a love I now understood was a lie from the very start. I reached up and unhooked it. For a moment, I thought about smashing it, about shattering the glass into 1,000 pieces just as my life had been shattered. But then, a lone hummingbird, a flash of emerald and ruby, zipped up to the empty space where the feeder had been. It hovered for a second, confused, then darted away into the vast blue sky. And in that moment, I knew I wouldn't break the feeder. Smashing it would be giving the past power over my future. Instead, I held the cool glass in my hand, a symbol not of a broken promise, but of my own resilience. I had survived. Lily had survived. Like that tiny bird, we had been thrown off course, but we were free. I walked to the car, got in the driver's seat, and placed the hummingbird feeder on the passenger side. As I pulled away from the house and the life that was, I didn't look back. I looked forward, towards the sea, towards a new sunrise, and towards a future where I would hang this feeder again, not as a memory of a devastating betrayal, but as a promise to my daughter of a life filled with real, unshakable love.